It's been more than a decade since the U.S. invaded Iraq, but for the men and women who still bear the wounds of that war, it can be a rough road back to civilian life. CBS This Morning contributor Lee Woodruff brings us the story of one veteran who found his way.
It's probably the coolest sensation I've really ever felt.
Ryan Kelly's life on the airfields outside Austin, Texas, is a long way from the battlefields of Iraq.
I try not to let anything slow me down here.
But his battle scars remain.
Can you show us your radical leg?
Yeah, so there's I'm a below knee amputee, so my real leg, or what's left of my leg, stops right there.
Kelly was in Iraq rebuilding infrastructure in 2003 when his convoy hit a roadside bomb.
I've been blown out of my seat into the center console of the Humvee, and there's like the lights went off. And as my vision started to clear up, I look over and my driver, Zaya's, his face is just pouring blood. There was so little tissue holding my leg on that it was hanging at an angle. I didn't see it at first.
Kelly was losing blood, but still had the presence of mind to fire on insurgents hiding nearby until help arrived. That night, doctors at a field hospital amputated his right leg below the knee. He was airlifted out of Iraq and ended up at Walter Reed Army Hospital in Washington, D.C., where he had to come to terms with his injury.
But I was so committed to making a career in the military. My dad was an Army officer. That's what I was going to do. Giving up my military service, that was hard.
But during his recovery, Kelly would find a new mission after meeting a fellow amputee who also happened to be an Air Force pilot.
He was an above-knee amputee. Came into my room. I was still an inpatient. He was wearing a flight suit. It was a huge motivation for me. I can't thank him enough for placing that seed in my head that said, hey, you can grow into being a pilot out of this injury.
Now, for a day job, he saves lives as a Medevac helicopter pilot in Texas. When a gunman opened fire at Fort Hood last month, he and his crew were among the first responders.
He's just an exceptional example of someone who will not be defined by disability.
Charles Stites runs Able Flight, a scholarship and training program that gives people with disabilities an opportunity to learn how to fly.
They go through an intensive training program, and at the end they take the same test that anyone else would take to become a pilot.
Kelly got his fixed-wing pilot's license through Able Flight and is now pursuing a more advanced rating. For someone like Kelly, flying doesn't come without challenges.
It just takes practice with the prosthetic over time. Obviously, I don't feel like I can't touch a pedal and feel it, but I've learned to feel through my prosthetic when I'm on the pedal.
Kelly doesn't dwell on whatever disadvantages others might see. If anything, he downplays them.
And what does it feel like when you're in the air and flying?
It's a great equalizer.
About 3 miles to the east.
Once you're in the air, regardless of your injury, if you're controlling the aircraft by yourself, it doesn't matter if you're in a wheelchair or missing a leg, you're free, and it's an incredible feeling.
For CBS This Morning, Lee Woodruff, Austin, Texas.
Very cool what Ryan Kelly is doing.
Finding a sense of purpose and service after that. It's an amazing story.
It is an amazing story.